What's up, nerds? Corey here from DNA, and I'm here with my fiance, Sana, and we did something really interesting last week, and we watched all 6 Star Wars movies, and it was your first time.
It was my first time in 26 years of life.
How did you like it overall?
Overall, I'm not sure why I was so scared to watch them. I was pretty happy overall. I get it. I'm not going to say I'm a fanatic, but I get it.
So, we watched it in the machete order, which some people say is the way to go, and other people hate that. How did you feel about watching in that order?
I got why we did it. It helped me kind of understand more of the meaning of the last original movie. I liked it. It made me more invested in the characters, knowing where they came from.
For those of you that don't know, the machete order is you watch 4, 5, and then the prequel trilogy, and then end with Return of the Jedi. So we started off with New Hope, obviously. That's like the beginning. This is where it all started. How did you feel about these characters as a whole and how they evolved through the trilogy?
The original?
Yeah.
It wasn't like a pure experience of watching them for the first time because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So I knew the spoilers. I knew like what was going to happen for the most part. And from watching, Family Guy, yeah. I knew a lot of what was going to happen. But I really liked it. It was, there was obviously some stuff didn't carry on, as far as the technology and whatever. But overall, I liked it. I liked the characters. I liked the simplicity. There weren't a lot of characters to follow, and you could kind of invest in them more. I will say a lot of stuff had to be explained. I feel like they kind of just start the movie, and seeing it for the first time, I kind of felt a little like, what the heck just happened? I don't know that I would have watched them on my own. Like, I needed that guidance, because it was a little hard to follow.
Yeah, the way Star Wars started out is there's all this mythology behind this first movie, but it's the first movie,
right?
And there's nothing to explain. Who are the Jedi? Where did they come from? Who's Obi-Wan? Why is he so important to the story? Who is Luke? And like, why is he the one that stumbles upon Obi-Wan? And then they go on this adventure and they meet Han Solo, obviously, who really has nothing to do with the Jedi and Luke and anything. He's a smuggler. He's just a random guy in a bar with a spaceship that they pay to take them somewhere. And then, the movie obviously starts off with this battle going on this ship where Princess Leia gives R2-D2 the plans for the Death Star. Well, the first time you see this movie, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what the Death Star is. You just see Darth Vader is menacing, and he just...
Yeah. I felt like I was watching the 4th movie, but it was the 4th movie before it was the 4th movie. You know, like, it was never intended originally to be a 4th movie, but I feel like that's how it felt. So, it was really odd. Just the way things were kind of thrown at you. I think there could have been more explaining. So, but overall, I liked them.
Yeah. I mean, I think the way people love Star Wars so much is because they've watched it over and over and over and over while growing up. And, like, you, as somebody who's only seen all these movies once, don't feel the attachment that everybody else felt growing up watching these movies.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Han Solo. Why does everybody love Han Solo? I mean, I don't know. I mean, for all we know, you don't like Han Solo at all.
Because he's a baddie.
And then everybody loves Boba Fett. Why does everybody love Boba Fett? He has like 10 minutes of on-screen time.
I still like can't remember who he is every time he's like, Boba Fett! I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah. So, and he's just like this mysterious character that nobody knows about until...
I don't even hear when you hear his name. Like,
you
to
really
love him.
You really don't until Return of the Jedi. You really don't. Like, in the original cuts of A New Hope, he's not even in that movie, but they added scenes, for better or worse, where, you know, he walks across the screen, you see him, and then he really doesn't even play a part until the end of Empire Strikes Back. Now, the original trilogy is something that has been altered beyond...
Yeah.
Like... And Disney is rumored to be re-releasing the original cuts of these movies.
Oh.
So...
Interesting.
I mean, for me, I don't mind the addition. I always as a artist, as a creator, I like when they add things to movies. Now, there are some questionable additions. But the way he added, effects, the way he fixed some of the editing process when there wasn't any, because of the technology back then, like that stuff works for me, and the stuff that he added works for me. Now, there's some purists out there that are gonna hate me for saying that.
Yeah.
But I understand, like, I don't agree with all the changes George Lucas made, but as an artist and as a creator, you always want to perfect your vision, even if the artist is blinded by their own creativity, which is where I think what happened to George Lucas with the additions to the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, which we'll get into that in a minute. But overall, out of the original trilogy, which one was your favorite?
The second one. Well, the fifth one. Yeah.
That's
I don't remember which one's which.
That's the best movie.
Empire Strikes Back, right?
That's the only right answer.
Yeah. Because I think I was more invested in the characters, so the story made more sense to me. I liked the last one. It got a little weird with the Ewoks. Like, they're cute and all, but I feel like it got kind of like a little bit like somebody took some drugs and created Ewoks. So I liked the last one. I liked the first one, but I know I'm totally saying that wrong, but within the original context, I think, the second one, it made the most sense. It was the least confusing. It was a normal storyline. I knew the characters. It wasn't like, here's all this information, understand it. And you said something about, like, the technology too. I will say, as much as it doesn't keep up with now, I was impressed. Like, I was thinking, like, if I was sitting there in 1977, I would be like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think that was probably part of the thrill for people, was like, wow.
Yeah. Well, plus George Lucas invented a lot of the technology they used. That movie was more of a technological advancement in movies more than it was a good movie. Granted, A New Hope is a good movie, but it's not great. Empire is where you start getting into the greatness of what these movies are, and then Return of the Jedi. The first 2/3 of that movie are great, and then, like, I'm sorry, but the Ewoks, I don't think they could take on the Empire. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nothing
against them. It was just a little, like, I don't know, forced to, like, insert something. Forced. But it was nice, like I said before, like, I knew a lot of the spoilers, of course, I knew a lot of the sayings, but it was kind of cool to finally be like, oh, that's why they say that, that's why that's there.
Now you want those t-shirts we saw in Disney World, don't
you? We were in Disney World and saw the I love you, thank you shirts, and he wanted us to get them, but I hadn't seen the movie, and I get it now. So next time.
Overall, I mean, the original trilogy is, like, I don't need to watch the prequels. There are parts in there that I like, which we're going to talk about the prequels in a minute, but I think, especially with The Force Awakens coming out, which we're going to go see soon, I think the way the original trilogy fits into The Force Awakens is brilliant. I think like all the callbacks in the new movie are awesome. I cannot wait till we go see it. But now we're going to talk about the prequels. Don't turn it off, please. Please. But we're going to talk about the prequels. Overall, what do you think of the prequels?
Okay, he informed me that everybody hates them, and most people don't like the idea of prequels. I have two different views on it. I like them as far as I like prequels. I like getting to know more about characters. I like knowing their backstories. I think it wasn't fair in the originals to not know the story of the Jedis. Mm-hmm. I feel like that was such an important story to tell of like their fall and everything. So I think the originals are like, that's missing, is knowing that backstory. So I loved the intention. I'm a prequel person. I like prequels. But as far as how they were done, like I said, I love the overall story. I love the, rise to power and the fall and Anakin's story and whatever. But the first movie was excruciating. It was once again kind of the same problem I had with the original, the fourth, of all this was being thrown at me and I had no idea what to do with it except like times a million. Like, I think...
Well, there's a million more characters.
100 different times we had to keep pausing it. I'm like, what is this? What is that? Why is this happening? Where are we going?
Why are the aliens racist?
The politics were not necessary. It was a little ridiculous. I think you could have condensed it to about an hour. I like seeing where Anakin came from. I think that's cool. I think it humanized him. But it was just so much of it was unnecessary. And that's where you meet, what's his face, right? In the first one? The annoying...
Oh, Jar Jar.
Jar Jar. Could have done without. Really could have done without. I get the point of him, but I can't laugh at you if I can't understand what you're saying. So... And it's different with, like, Chewbacca because Han Solo, like, speaks for him almost.
Yeah.
But with Jar Jar, it was just, like, how am I supposed to laugh? I don't understand you. The second one was really awkward. I don't know. Well, with the first one, I don't remember his name. I liked Liam Neeson. Qui-Gon.
He's my favorite.
I don't feel it was necessary to kill him. I liked him and Obi-Wan's relationship. I liked all that. I get how Queen Amidala, I like, whatever, like all that was fine. I love Ewan McGregor, so I loved Obi-Wan. And I love what he did with it. I loved Obi-Wan's story. He told me before we started, it's not about Obi-Wan, but just focus on Obi-Wan. And I get why he said that. I think it was a really great emotional storyline for him. But in the second one, once Anakin is grown and then he gets with the queen and it's just really awkward and it's kind of like a soap opera because he was little and it was just, I don't know. That whole love story was like weird. Really like nails on a chalkboard a little bit. Like I don't even remember what that movie was about because all I can remember is how awkward that was. Like I cannot tell you what that movie was about. The third one was my favorite. I'd say probably like kind of the same reasons as the originals. Like I knew the characters. I was already invested. I liked it the best because as far as prequels, I could have just had the third one. It really told what happened with the Jedis. It explained what happened with Anakin. It explained where Luke and Leia came from. I think the third one was necessary. Anakin wasn't awkward anymore. I think he did a really, really good job towards the end when he really, really got evil. It was a good acting job. With the like
Hayden Christensen, like everybody says that's the problem, which granted, that was only like his third major acting gig was Attack of the Clones, which is the second movie. And like he's a great actor. If you watch his stuff after Star Wars, he's a really good actor. He started doing independent movies a lot because of all like the pain that Star Wars has caused him, and like he's a good actor. He's a great actor, except George Lucas has this very
Had him in a
specific bubble that he's placing these actors in, and they can't budge out of this
I felt
bubble.
like that with Natalie Portman too. Like
Yeah.
I've seen her be really great. She's not my favorite, but I've seen her be really good, and I felt like she was very like it was her like first time. Like
Yeah.
it was a little awkward.
Yeah.
But I will say that Ewan McGregor, regardless of that, did amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like level of acting kind of mixed with the script, because I feel like Ewan McGregor didn't let that stop him. He still did amazing. But Natalie Portman was so dry.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's just like the writing, like the script that they had to go off of was like, there's no like, like you know how some movies there's like improv, and that's like that's where the famous line from Han Solo comes from
the
is
thank
"I
you."
love you," and he says "I know,"
or I know, sorry.
and like that was improv, and that's what made that character so great is he was allowed to improv some of his script, which is why I think he's probably the best part of the original trilogy. Whereas there's no improv, there's no like straying from the script a little bit and then bringing it back in. There's none of that.
It was very much
prequels.
like, oh no, like Daddy's watching us, we better not screw up.
Yeah.
Like,
And then there's just like these really awkward lines, and it's weird. It's just like, I don't have a problem with a prequel trilogy. I do not have a problem with that. I like
we
the
like
idea.
the X-Men ones, like, right?
Yeah.
We liked those.
And like I like the idea of a Star Wars prequel. I think there are good parts in Phantom Menace. I think there may be two good parts in Attack of the Clones, and I think Revenge of the Sith could have been better, but I mean obviously it's the most watchable out of the three. But I think there could have been a more cohesive story told in these movies.
There was disconnect,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's just a shame because like these were the first.
It's out there, like it's done.
And like when Disney bought Lucasfilm and everything, they went through all the books, all the comics, the movies, the TV shows. They picked out what was canon and what was not, and a lot of people wanted them to say the prequels are no longer canon, and like part of everybody wants Disney to redo the prequels. I don't know if that's necessary.
I don't know,
because a lot of people
There's
aren't.
still gonna be haters.
And then there's the thing that Star Wars is for kids, which those movies are for kids. Like a lot of us that are older and grew up with this are like, oh man, that's stupid. They should have made a Star Wars movie for me. George Lucas always said Star Wars was for kids. And the first time a lot of us saw Star Wars, we were kids. Like, Owen, he's 5. He loves the prequels. Jango Fett's his favorite character.
Which one's that?
The gray and blue bounty hunter guy that Samuel L. Jackson kills in the second movie.
Oh.
And, like, that's Owen's favorite character. A lot of people my age don't like Jango Fett because that gives Boba Fett a backstory, and that's why everybody loves Boba Fett, is because he was so mysterious.
Yeah.
And now you're going to put him in this set of movies as a kid with a dad that, like...
I remember now. Yeah.
So...
I think, I don't know, I love the history of things. I think that's why I like prequels, and I felt really attached to the actual story of the prequels, the story of the Jedis and what happened, and with Anakin and being tricked by, what was his name, the Sith, the Darth
Sidious, Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine.
What he said. Like, I felt bad for him. Like, I felt emotion about it. Like, I feel like the purpose of the story, like, was really real. Like, the good guys get drowned out by the bad guys, and things fall into history, and later on, if Luke hadn't kept it going, then you would have never known about the Jedis again. I think it's really powerful. I think it's really cool. but because of that, it should have been done justice. So, but I mean, I don't know. I got a lot of answers from the third movie about him, Anakin becoming Darth Vader, and, you know, what happened to Luke and Leia's mom, and, you know, what role does Obi-Wan play in Luke and Leia's lives? Like, it answered so many important questions, but like I said, it could have just been the third movie. I don't think the first two were really necessary, but I do think the third one was. I think it adds meaning. And I haven't seen, like, the new one yet, but I feel like from the little bit that I've heard, I don't know, well, I don't even want to say the wrong thing, but I feel like it's necessary for that too, to know, like, where the Jedis came from and why they don't exist. And when I look back on watching A New Hope, like, I didn't get any of that from it, that the Jedis used to be this huge organization and they fought and they fell, and I didn't get that at all. I thought Yoda was just some character. Like, I didn't get that. I feel like the prequels were kind of George Lucas's chance to re-explain what he meant to explain in the originals. But I don't know. Somebody just needs to do his writing for him, and he can keep giving the concepts. So,
well, that's why everybody says Empire Strikes Back is their favorite, because George Lucas didn't direct that movie. So, like, and he wrote Return of the Jedi, but he had help directing it.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I mean, say what you will. I think George Lucas had a great vision for what Star Wars is, and it's obviously, Star Wars is this thing that you cannot get away from, even before Disney bought them and announced a new trilogy of movies and
it's still
all
everywhere.
These spin-offs. Like, Star Wars is everywhere. It's bigger than anything.
I think people are a little hard on him. Like, I don't know a lot about him, but of course, he made these mistakes, yada, 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 but it's his thing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Like, I feel like people, like, they're expecting so much of him, but the same people that are saying that, hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like, yeah, he made his mistakes, but, like, is this not, like, a genius series? Did he not turn this into, like, a global phenomenon? Like, the guy, he's a little weird, he's a little off, but credit's due, you know, for what he created.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't think the prequels are as bad as everybody always says they are. Like, yeah, they're not the best movies.
I've seen worse.
I still think Phantom Menace, like, despite all of its problems, is my favorite of the prequel trilogy. Like, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's relationship is very important, even though it really doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the series. Darth Maul is a really mysterious, cool character that I wish they wouldn't have killed off. Like, they could have used Darth Maul instead of Christopher Lee's character, Count Dooku, the old Sith Lord that you find in the second movie. Like, they could have just kept going with Darth Maul. I feel like the third movie could have, like, not ended, but, like, the middle of that movie should have been Anakin fighting Darth Maul to replace Maul as the apprentice.
Yeah, instead of being under him.
I feel like there's a direction that whole prequel series could have gone that could have made a spectacular prequel series. But that said, I don't think they're terrible. I think they serve their purpose. I think they're all still totally watchable. There's worse movies than the prequels, but we ended on Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Which for me, I think that's a good decision. And, like, there's a lot of, like, things that George Lucas added in Return of the Jedi that called back to the prequels, especially the end with, for better or for worse, Hayden Christensen's Force Ghost with Obi-Wan and Yoda. But
I don't know. I kind of like that just because I don't know. I've watched movies so, like, emotionally. Like, I feel like it kind of, like, I don't know, gave peace to Luke. Like, him being able to see Anakin's ghost, like, I feel like it brought him peace. But I could see how, like, it does mess with the original cut. So I could see the problem.
Yeah.
But I see the decision to put him in.
Yeah.
He can finally be like, oh my gosh, my dad was, like, a real guy, not Darth Vader.
Yeah. I just feel like, Obi-Wan died as an old man, and they show his Force Ghost as an old man, which they could have very easily gone back and put Ewan McGregor back in after they edit it if they wanted to go that route. Yoda is old Yoda, not almost old Yoda from the prequels. And the Anakin was an old man when he died, and they go back to young Anakin. It just that whole series doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, whatever. It's not my movie, so I can't.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go back and re-edit so much, just because I think it takes away from the people that saw it in 1977 in the theaters for the first time. I think it takes away from their experience. It kind of oh, you guys were the original fans, but we're going to take away your experience. I don't think that's fair. So I think do what you're going to do with the new ones and stop touching the other ones. Yeah. They're still going to be loved. Star Wars is still going to be here when we're all gone.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it.
It's not like if you absolutely hate the prequels, they sell the original trilogy by itself. You do not have to watch it. But anything else you want to touch on before we...
I don't know. I'd say overall, I was happy with it. I will say, after I want to say the first two, 1 and 2, I knew that after we watched 3, where we're going to come back to the original movie, I was kind of relieved to go back to the simplicity. As I was watching the prequels, you're of course a little more mesmerized by the technology and the newness of it, of course. But with that said, I was so ready to go back to the simplicity of the basics of it, the nitty gritty, these few characters.
Yeah, that's it.
What they're doing, where they are, what's going on. I feel sorry, the hair. The prequels made me appreciate the simplicity of the originals. I love, I think Luke's kind of, I don't know if that's my favorite casting ever. I think he was a little too much of a pansy for me. I didn't want to say another word. I don't know what's appropriate to say on here. I really liked Leia. I thought she was a badass. I thought she was really cool. I loved Han Solo. I literally wanted to fast forward though in the 6th one with that unnecessary long scene with what's his face, the big ugly monster guy.
Oh, the Rancor, the first. Oh, with
no,
Jabba.
Oh, that was bad. That was so bad. I was so ready to go back to the originals.
You didn't like the music scene they added in there?
No. I was so ready for the originals. I was so excited. And then we get stuck in this 20-minute scene. I was like, I can't do this. This is torture. This is absolute torture. But once we got past that, it was... I'm glad we ended it with the 6th movie. It gave me kind of some peace with the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I liked the way we watched it. I don't think I would have watched it differently going back. Yeah, I like the originals. I get it. I like the story of the prequels. Yeah, I'd say at the end of the day, I'm a fan. So I will watch them all again, though, because I don't think I caught half of what I needed to catch. So
yeah,
I will watch them again, not tomorrow, but I will. And I'm excited for the new ones.
Yeah, there are a lot of new ones. There's 7, the new one that's out. 8 and 9, and then there's 3 spin-off movies.
Yeah. Isn't one about Obi-Wan?
It's the rumor.
I'd watch that.
The rumor Obi-Wan. He might get his own trilogy, which
I don't know if that's necessary.
I don't think that's necessary, but I've always been a fan of Star Wars. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. That's been documented in many places on DNA shows, but I love Star Wars. I love the idea. I love the vision. I love the art directions. I like the way the original trilogy feels like it's lived in, and like they're really scrapping together to pull off something miraculous when they defeat the Empire. Like I like that type of story.
Yeah.
Like, I really loved episode 7. I love what they did. It still feels like the original trilogy with the technology of the prequels, which is what everybody wanted the prequels to be. No spoilers for episode 7, but I do feel like it is the movie Star Wars fans needed at this time. And, like, they hit on all the right points of nostalgia while adding to the series. Now, the only thing that worries me is if they keep that going with the next couple without changing anything.
Yeah.
That's when it's going to get kind of hairy for me. But episode 7 was great. I'm excited to go see it again with you. And thank you for watching. This will probably be under DNA Reacts / DNA Rebel Base. So you can find it both places. Remember, you can find all of our content on digitalnerdadvocates.com. and on our YouTube page, the Digital Nerd Advocates Network. Like, subscribe, and share. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment below. Let us know how we did. And until next time, we're out.
Bye.